Welcome to Boxing's Best, the home of elite fights, brutal knockouts, fight night drama, and the moments that define champions. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the best boxing content on YouTube. Now, let's get into it. Boxing pros and fighters are firmly on Joshua's side, believing that Joshua should get the job done quickly and convincingly. Joshua's side are showing confidence and dominance. Joshua has publicly said he plans to mentally and physically break Jake Paul, not just beat him, emphasizing experience and boxing IQ. He predicts a knockout within the first 2 rounds, showing full confidence in his superior power. Joshua in past times with other fights has predominantly said, "When it comes, with the main objective being to stick to what he's been working on in training camp. So, he really means business and understands the type of statement he needs to make come fight night." Veteran UFC fighter Matt Brown has strongly dismissed the idea of Paul beating Joshua, calling it dumb to pick Paul given Anthony Joshua's elite level. Mainstream boxing media view has a steep odds gap. Bookmakers and analysts list Joshua as a heavy favorite, like Paul is often a plus 700 or longer underdog, showing professional expectation of a Joshua win. Criticism from pundits, like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan warned that the size and skill gap could make this a severe mismatch, questioning Paul's chances due to Joshua's punching power. He also added the following.
This is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight, and he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch.
That's not hype, that's blunt fighter logic. Brown points to the fundamentals: elite power, timing, ring IQ, and years at world-class level. Rogan highlights the danger factor. Heavyweights don't need volume. One clean shot ends everything. Joshua could put his knuckles through Jake Paul's brain. Joshua isn't talking about surviving rounds. He's talking about domination. This is the language of an elite heavyweight who knows the gap in experience is massive. It could be a brutal reality check for Jake Paul. The experience gap is huge. Anthony Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist, 2 times world heavyweight champion with multiple heavyweight world titles. Faced elite fighters like Klitschko and many others victoriously. Jake Paul has had limited professional fights. No elite heavyweight wins. Never faced prime championship level power. They are simply levels apart. Joshua has spent years surviving and beating men in emphatic fashion who could end fights with one mistake. There's a huge difference between the two of them in boxing terms. The only way Jake Paul wins. David Haye, former heavyweight champion, said, "If Jake Paul wins, it's one of the biggest upsets in sporting history." Haye doesn't say Paul will win, he says if that matters. The only scenario? If there's early chaos, perfect timing, or if Joshua is caught out cold. Jake Paul's only chance is landing something big before Joshua settles into rhythm. David Haye also said the following.
I was like, okay, they're going to say AJ, then they're going to wheel out somebody else. But they stuck with AJ. And I didn't think there was a version of reality where Anthony Joshua steps in the ring with 10-ounce gloves, boxing rules, in a heavyweight contest with Jake Paul. I didn't think that was possible, but it is, and it's happening. And my initial thoughts were, Anthony's just going to blast him out as soon as he hits him. He's going to just punch his head in and knock him out.
Derek Chisora said, AJ can't allow the fight to go on for 8 rounds. He has to go in there and knock him out. He said knowing AJ he will knock him out. He also highlighted the following.
Jake will be alright. AJ's gonna lay him out.
Derek James, Anthony Joshua's previous trainer, said the following.
I don't know what's going to happen. But if Anthony Joshua's able to be himself, it's going to be a short night. So you better do something to not let him be himself, because if he does, it's going to be very interesting.
Joe Rogan further added,
You're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists. He's so dangerous, man. It's like you're dealing with a guy who's an Olympic gold medalist, and he's enormous, and he's got vicious knockout power, and he's got immense amount of experience at world-class levels. Just think about what we said earlier. Fought Usyk twice. Fought Andy. Paul wants to fight that guy. Hey, I'll watch. And if you want to show you're legit by taking on one of the scariest heavyweights alive.
Tony Bellew, former WBC cruiserweight world champion, said the following.
I still struggle to actually see them in the ring together. He's going to get in the ring with the former unified heavyweight champion of the world with a pair of 10-ounce gloves on. This guy lost to Tommy Fury. If Tommy Fury was fighting Anthony Joshua, the British Boxing Board of Control would refuse to sanction it. How this is going on is madness, but you can't knock Josh because, listen, I'm retired 8 years and I'm 43. And if someone came to me and said, fight this kid off the Disney Channel for 50 or 60 mil, I'll fight two of them at once.
Dave Coldwell, a former professional boxer, promoter, and currently a boxing trainer and boxing analyst and commentator on Sky Sports, having previously trained Tony Bellew, has said the following.
First of all, completely understand why it's happening. I know people are talking about legacy and things like that. It doesn't affect it one bit because the reality is AJ is going to splash him in about a round. And the max is that Jake Paul runs and AJ just wants to play a bit of cat and mouse in the first round and then does it in the second round. But I cannot see in any universe how it goes beyond 2 rounds. And for Anthony Joshua, for boxing, it has to go inside the 2 rounds, even one to be fair.
Johnny Nelson MBE is a former British cruiserweight world champion, holding the title from 1999 to 2006 and remains the longest reigning cruiserweight world champion of all time. He has said the following regarding the AJ and Jake Paul fight.
For Jake Paul, absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here in the UK. Would he win a British title? No, I don't think so. So now they're putting this domestic level fight in with a former heavyweight 2-time champion. If this is a real, legitimate fight, Jake Paul is absolutely crazy. If not crazy, he's super brave.
The technical reality: Paul must avoid the jab, avoid exchanges, hope that Joshua underestimates him, and land clean within the first 2 rounds. After that, the ability and experience gap of the sweet science of boxing becomes obvious, and all will be in Joshua's favor. The final verdict: the boxing world isn't split, it's united. Joshua is bigger, stronger, smarter, and far more experienced. Jake Paul has changed his life through boxing, but this might be the night boxing reminds him what elite boxing really looks like. Could lightning strike once? Maybe. But the professionals? With the betting odds being so large, though they are confident Anthony Joshua wins destructively, some are betting on the storm. Tommy Fury is astonished that the fight is happening, especially with the stick that he got for fighting Jake, whilst being the only man so far to beat Jake Paul in a professional ring, though Jake Paul's fights haven't particularly been with high-caliber elite boxers like Anthony Joshua. With Tyson Fury potentially fighting Anthony Joshua next year, he has said that it's a 50-50 fight. I believe his motive is to get into Anthony Joshua's head ahead of their big bout in 2016, which has been a highly anticipated fight for many years now, since both fighters were in their prime. Final verdict by boxing professionals and expert boxing analysts is that Anthony Joshua, a 2-time heavyweight world champion that once set the division alight and helped bring boxing to the mainstream, wins convincingly, with some having huge concerns for Jake Paul's health post-fight. My final take on this fight: Jake Paul's chances are very slim. He only has a puncher's chance. It's a technical mismatch. There's a huge and noticeable experience gap between the two of them. Jake Paul stands the chance of experiencing heavyweight danger. My consensus is that there's an extremely low probability of Jake Paul having a chance of winning or even looking competitive in the ring. It's undeniably a high-risk fight for Jake. It's a massive spectacle, but maybe a long and painful night for Jake and an easy, quick win for Anthony Joshua. If you want the real breakdowns, not hype, hit subscribe, like, and select the notification bell. Drop your verdict in the comments. And tell me, does Jake Paul survive Anthony Joshua, or is this the beginning of the end?